friends, welcome to Raw Foodist. I am Axay Shah. Today we have a very special guest, Karen Ranzi. Karen is an award winning author, internationally acclaimed speaker, and coach in the field of plant based nutrition and natural living. With over 25 years of experience, she has inspired thousands of to embrace a raw and plant-based lifestyle, promoting vibrant health and well-being for individuals and families alike. Karen is the founder of the Super Healthy Children program and a passionate advocate for healing through nutrition. We are thrilled to have her with us today. Karen, welcome to Raw Foodist.
Thank you, Axay. Nice to be talking to you here.
All right, so let's start. Karen, you have been a leading voice in the plant based raw food movement for over 2 decades. What initially inspired you to adopt a raw plant based lifestyle, and how did it transform your life?
So it all started before I was born because my father and my grandmother, before the words raw and vegan even existed, I saw it in front of me when I was growing up, because my grandmother back in 1921 had asthma and emphysema.
All right.
And she was in the hospital. And the doctors gave her what medications they had at that time. She got worse. And they told her that she should get her things together because the emphysema was quite serious. And my father was only 4 years old, and my grandmother was a single mom. So she didn't have any help. She didn't know what she would do if something happened to her. Like other people who, when they hear something like this, they couldn't even imagine changing their diet. And, back in 1921, we didn't have processed food yet. We didn't have genetically modified ingredients yet. We didn't have all these preservatives that's in food today. But my grandmother was very sick, and I believe it's because her diet was basically animal food and all cooked food. And I'm sure there was some stress involved also, being a single parent and living at that time period. But I think the majority of it was from food, because when somebody brought her this little gift to the hospital, the mucusless diet healing system, this little paperback book that came out in 1918, and my grandmother read that book, she went to a whole foods, plant-based way of eating. She called it natural foods. I have poems that she wrote about it. And yes, she wrote a whole book about it. And that was back in like 1923. And she healed, and she ended up living over another 50 years. So she lived way past the doctor's expectations. They thought she was not going to live another few months because of the emphysema. But it healed, and I grew up with her periodically living with us and always hearing about her healing story. But my mother did not feel that we should live on plant foods because of protein. The usual problem, right? Yes. So my mother insisted that my sister and I eat meat and animal food, and we grew up on that, and processed food as well. And we were sick frequently. I was especially sick a lot, always on maintenance antibiotics. And by the time I was an adolescent, I had severe cystic acne all over my face and my back, and started going to dermatologists, getting medications, was on those medications for many, many, many years. They never did anything for me except for dry out my skin, one called Accutane was known for drying out your skin, but it didn't take away the acne, just dried out my skin. And then I developed IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. And I had that for many years along with the acne. And it wasn't fun growing up with this and being a young adult, trying to make friends and go on dates, and was very embarrassing and painful as well. And it wasn't, well, when I was 17, I went vegetarian for moral reasons.
Hmm.
I didn't want to kill animals anymore because I saw my father and my grandmother take out even the tiniest little insect in a tissue while my mother was swatting all the spiders and the insects. And I saw two different ways of interacting with the creatures who we share this planet with. And I fell in love with the way that my father and my grandmother were interacting with other creatures. And I wanted to be more like them. So I went vegetarian, but I didn't give up dairy because I still had that mentality of we need animal protein. So I was still eating dairy and eggs, but I gave up all meat, turkey, chicken, fish, gave that all up.
Good.
Yes, that was good, but I didn't get better. My symptoms didn't improve. In fact, I think they got worse because I was eating more dairy than before.
Ah.
So I think my skin, which is very much connected with dairy products, my skin got much worse. And over the years, I really struggled with it, but the doctors told me it was genetic, that it had nothing to do with my diet. And I wanted to believe them because I loved cheddar cheese and I
Well,
loved cheese doodles. And I
most of
didn't
the
want to
people,
give them up.
yeah, most of the people, they listen to their doctor.
Yes, so did
And
I.
yeah.
I didn't want to listen to my father and my grandmother. I didn't want to take their advice. So I stayed on this vegetarian path for many, many years, until 1989. I was having my children. I had my daughter in 87. And then I was expecting my son, who was born in 1990. And in 1989, I went vegan. And that was a really big step for me, just to go vegan. Was still eating a lot of processed food, but just going vegan and giving up dairy. In 3 months, my skin, after over 25 years, cleared up in 3 months.
Nice. Nice.
So, I had hormonal cystic acne. And my most recent book is about the guidelines that I did for that healing, including the dairy. And it's called Bye Bye Acne.
Yeah. I'm
And
going to give this all those link to the video. Right. Yeah.
yeah, I was very upset that in 3 months I could turn around a condition that I had for over 25 years. So it was wonderful, but I could have done that years ago if the doctors had said, just give up dairy, or if I had listened to my father and grandmother. But I didn't. And so I saw these wonderful changes when I went vegan. And then, even as vegans, my son, my second child, had asthma and chronic ear infections.
Hmm.
And I didn't understand it. I thought, wow, we gave up dairy. Why is he sick? And I used to bring him into the shower at night for respiration. So we were exhausted from being up at night with him wheezing. And finally, I had found out from several people I knew who were raw vegans at the time in the 90s that raw food could be a big benefit. So in 1994, he was three years old at that time. We went raw vegan, just me and the kids. My husband wasn't into it. And my kids and I said, sorry, guys, we're going raw vegan. And maybe not sorry, because maybe you'll love all these delicious fruits and vegetables. And they did. And so we went raw vegan and we started preparing some delicious, simple recipes, and they became the chefs in the kitchen at ages 3 and 5. And my kids were pretty close to fully raw for about 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And my son's asthma and his chronic ear infections completely healed. And my daughter, who was sick frequently, she was beautifully healthy. And we made mistakes at the beginning going into it, like eating way too much fat, like a lot of people do.
Yeah.
But still, we had wonderful success in that my skin continued to clear and even the scarring went away going raw vegan. I thought I was going to have the scarring for life, but it went away. And my son, it was just wonderful that his asthma went away and no more chronic ear infections, no need for tubes in the ears like the doctors were prescribing. So that was great. And it was a good path for us. It was a good path.
Yeah.
And my kids were happy. They loved the food. But later on, it got stressful in terms of fitting in with their peer group. So they perceived the need to fit in. So they went off more. They went to like a vegetarian diet when they were teenagers. But
Mm-hmm.
all the way up until that point, they were mostly raw vegan. Like at home, they were all raw. So I can't say that they were fully 100% raw because they did go out with their friends. But I can tell you that they had clear skin, clear eyes. They could think properly. Whereas me, when I grew up on animal food and processed food, I had ADD, attention deficit. In school, I had to be in resource rooms because I couldn't focus. And my kids didn't grow up with any of this. And they were in school for the first earlier years. My daughter went up until third grade, my son only to kindergarten. And I saw that in school that they were feeding them pizza every week and that they were rewarding them. The teachers would reward with candy every time they took a test if they did well. I pulled them out of school. I was like, I'm not going to put up with this.
So you learned it very hard way, but the end result was very good. You and your kids, everybody enjoyed the raw food and the good health.
Yes, I did make mistakes. One of them was going to high fat, too much nuts and seeds. And
Mm.
also, I listened to some of the earlier misinformation in the raw food movement. Like, a lot of times kids don't want to brush their teeth. And there were speakers in the raw food movement who were telling people, you don't need to worry about brushing your teeth. You don't need to tell your kids if they don't want to brush their teeth because raw foods are good for the teeth. And that's a bunch of misinformation.
It's
You
always
still
there.
need to practice good dental hygiene.
Yeah, always bad and wrong information out there. We have to screen it
Yes.
out. And yeah, so
Yes.
let me ask you the another question. In your work with families and children, what do you find are the biggest challenge in the transitioning to a raw or plant-based lifestyle, and how do you guide them through these challenges?
Yes. So, I mean, I work with a lot of individuals. I also work with groups, and I take them in steps because a lot of people who are new to this, it can be overwhelming.
Mhm.
And I think that taking people in steps is a good thing. And just even bringing in more fruits and vegetables is key. Over the years, my focus I mean, I still work with families and helping them with their children. I have a background as a speech and language pathologist for 43 years. So I've been able to help a lot of parents with their kids with autism to turn around symptoms by going raw. So that's been a passion of mine. And then as I have gone through the years and gone through a very happy, uneventful menopause with no hot flashes, no weight gain, I'm still wearing my college clothes.
Nice.
Yeah, like lots of fun, exciting things happening and no pains, no joint pains, none of the things that comes with menopause very often. And so I've started also working with a lot of women who are going through peri and postmenopause and helping them turn their symptoms around quite easily. Also working with people with type 2 diabetes because it's not about the fruit, it's very much about the fat. And when I can help them with that and tell them, yes, you can eat fruit, you don't need to be afraid of fruit, then a lifestyle of fruits and vegetables is really fun. But they want to see that they can do this. So again, I take them in steps and I add meal planning that has a lot of really tasty,
Mhm.
uncomplicated recipes to live by on a daily basis. There's a lot of raw food recipe books that you could take 3 days to prepare a recipe. And that's not what you want. That's not what raw food should be. You should be able to live this way on a daily basis. And I just want to say that the quickest raw food, the quickest fast food is like grab an apple,
Yeah,
grab a couple of bananas.
I'm putting my video shorts on the video YouTube that I can make my dinner on the fly. Whatever is available, just I can make the dinner, and it's that quick it is. Yeah,
Same
so
with
people
me.
have
One,
right,
two, three. And it's healthy. It's going to
delicious.
satisfy because not only is it delicious, but it's nourishing and it's going to feed your cells. And
And I
that's
tell
really what you
people that,
want.
add whatever seasoning you like, taste, and, make it little spicy, whatever you like, but make it, yeah, very palatable. And yeah,
Yes.
it's a very enjoying and healthy food.
I love it. There's no going back.
And telling you the same thing, what you said, you are wearing the same cloth of 35-year-old college days. I can wear my 35, 40-year-old clothes, and I'm the same, I have not gain weight or anything,
Yeah,
since.
I'm like the same weight. I did lose weight when I first went raw vegan because I wasn't getting in enough calories.
Mm,
And so, we come from a cooked perspective or and eating animal food which is high in saturated fat, but even vegan plant foods, complex carbohydrates are more dense.
mm,
So if we're not eating enough fruit, and it's not going to be enough to eat like a little plate of it, we need to get our calories in.
correct.
So I like to eat enough fruit to get my calories in, and I know how much to eat now to get those calories.
Good.
And so we want to make sure that when people come to a raw food lifestyle, that they get enough calories to maintain a healthy, ideal weight.
Right. Let me ask you the third question. You have written extensively about the healing power of raw food. Can you share one or two stories from your experience where raw food made a significant impact on someone's health?
Oh my goodness, I can give you 1,000
No,
stories.
just I know. Just give me one or yeah, two. Yes, just short.
Okay. Uh, um, I'll tell you about a woman I just finished working with.
Uh-huh.
She came to me wanting to lose weight.
Mm,
She was experiencing hair loss, joint pains, only 40, 47, going on 48, and already having numerous health issues, lots of joint pains. Um, Her nails, like she'd wash the dishes and her nails would break off.
mm,
So she wanted help. She didn't really know what was going on. She did hear about the benefits of a plant-based diet. She was already moving in that direction. When she came to me, she was really super interested in raw food. She was, what can it do for me? So I just did a video of her, and it is just mind-boggling that in only 2 months' time,
Mm.
that she lost almost 20 pounds.
Wow.
Um, she probably needs to lose double that, but she's on the road. For the past few years, she's been putting on huge amounts of weight every year, like 10, 15 pounds every year, putting it on. So when she came to me, she told me that she would be happy just not to even put on any additional weight.
Right.
But to end up losing almost 20 pounds was very exciting for her. So there was that. Her hair is growing for the first time in quite a long time. No more problem with the nails. Her cellulite is gone.
Mm.
She has energy that she did not have.
Mm.
And so now that she has way more energy, she's able to exercise.
Mm.
And she's doing so much exercise, and she's like super excited about being able to bike and hike and dance and do all these things that she hasn't been able to do for years.
So her joint pain gone?
Joint pains are gone.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
even cellulite is gone. Yeah,
not,
all kinds of wonderful healing. Um, she had skin eruptions, acne, and that's gone.
Mhm.
Just all these really great positives, and it's motivating her to continue to stay consistent, to be accountable to the coaching. And she's just super excited, which is exciting for me to see. I worked also recently with a woman with type 2 diabetes,
Mhm.
very hesitant to add fruit in. She wasn't eating any fruit at all. And so, because of that, we need to get our calories from somewhere.
Mhm.
And since she wasn't eating fruit, and she wanted to stay raw, she had a raw food diet. This is a raw vegan with type 2 diabetes, but it was a diet that was pretty high in fat.
Mm.
So once we lowered the fat, we could add more fruit. And she was hesitant, but she did it. And then she got her blood sugar numbers checked, and they were coming down.
Nice.
So she's also really excited about eating more raw food, but more fruit and veggies and all these things. And she's happy that she can do it and stay raw. And
Oh.
so that was another success story. There was another woman who came to me locally where I live. She had seen me on Instagram, and she was like, I'm going to try this out. And she especially liked that she could come and meet with me in
Mhm.
person. So when she came to me the first time and she sent me her food diary, she was eating meat and animal food 3 times a day.
Ooh.
She was about 50 pounds overweight. She had a lot of inflammation. Her ankles were so blown up.
Mm.
She was having troubles walking. And that's another reason why she knew that she needed help, because she had a very responsible position as principal of a nursery school, had to be there every day, and she couldn't walk.
Yeah.
She was like stumbling with this inflammation in her ankles. And she also had joint pains throughout her body and inflammation. And the combination of the weight that was weighing down on her.
What was
She
the age? How old is she?
pretty young, I would
Yeah.
say 40s.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty young to be
Yeah, of course.
experiencing so much inflammation. I knew I wasn't going to be able to take her to an all raw diet. She didn't want to. She wanted to go more plant-based, to see if she could get some results, but she did not want to go raw. She did not even want to go vegetarian. She did not want to give up meat completely because she wanted to eat meat with her husband on the weekends. But during the coaching time that we had together, the 2 months that we worked together, we were able to move her in incremental steps to a more plant-based way of living, 5 days of the week, whole foods, plant-based, no oil, no salt, no sugar, and a little bit of meat on the weekend with her husband. And she loved my recipes. She went crazy for my recipes. And that held her through staying whole foods plant-based during the week as we moved towards the end of the coaching to a lot of raw food within those 5 days and even on the weekends. So it was a very high raw diet and most of the week whole plant foods with a small amount of meat so she could join her husband on the weekend to eat with him. Those 2 days, I really wanted to take her off the meat because I am an animal lover and I know what eating meat is doing to animals and to our planet. But she wasn't going to go there. I would have lost her as a client. And this way, she was only eating a very small amount of it and she was getting the results.
Okay, Karen,
So
we
she knew.
running
She
out of
knew.
time. So we have to conclude here this episode, and definitely we are going to meet again. Well, this is a very informative, very nice meeting you are over here, and
Yeah.
I wish we can do it again.
Definitely. I would love to do that, Axay. And it's great that you have this raw food channel here and that you're inspiring others to go in this very, very wonderful, nourishing direction to heal, and to live a wonderful lifestyle.
All right, thank you. Here is the Karen Ranzi, and see you next week. Thank you.
Food matters, but